Are we gonna be affected by the restrictions for September for the mastermind?
Yeah, I'm tracking it. You know, I've got hands in many cookie jars when it comes to state and COVID. So I'm tracking it. It seems to be okay so far, but you know, I think we might be down to the wire. But it seems to be okay still.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
we'll keep tracking it, and then the moment something shifts, I'll let you know.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys heard from a couple of calls ago, but yeah, Joel and New Wealth Advisors Club and Marianne and actually the whole team, even Melina and Oscar, I believe, are planning to come down in September, have a live event, and yeah, I hope this holds up,
Yeah,
man.
I know, right, right.
If
Yeah,
anybody knows
actually,
like the mayor or the governor.
we got more than just Melina and Oscar. There's probably maybe half a dozen, maybe even maybe even more than that coming down as well. So we got a
Okay.
bunch of our club members coming. So
Okay.
worst case, we put a tent up on the beach. I don't know, something.
We can get creative with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then kudos to Autumn and Justin for making a really awesome flyer. So it's pretty dope. So hopefully we'll get that out like today.
Awesome.
That's
Okay.
great.
Cool. So everybody stay tuned. We'll have more news on that. Kiko, you ready? Rock and roll?
Yeah, I'm just there's just it's Friday, man. There's all these people needing loans. This is great.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for jumping on another Coffee Talk Friday. There's a couple of things we want to go over and throw out there to you guys today, but why don't we start with our leads, needs, and good deeds. So first off, I know Brendan, he needs some friends out in Dallas. So if anybody's out there in Dallas, we can link up together. Just maybe Brandon, if you feel comfortable, you can drop your contact in the chat. And then we'll do a text message, me, you can call. Anybody have anything on the line that they're looking at? Funding or deals?
I'll speak up real quick just on Dallas because I'm moving there, and when I'm moving somewhere, I'm going to know some people. Yeah. So I've already started, that process. I've a fair amount of connections down there, and I'd be glad to make my network overlap with whoever needs somebody down there for whatever. Several wholesalers, and several agents that are looking for stuff for me, and we're just getting into that market investment wise, and it's kind of like the numbers aren't quite fitting. So we'll see what I can kind of do when I get there, but I'm going to be working hard to figure that market out. So anybody who needs anything down there.
Awesome. Thank you, Jared. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Jared, and then guys, really quick, we actually have a club member, Kerry Hemby, who's part of our club, and he's out in Dallas. So I'll link him up as well. Be good to kind of expand the network out there.
You guys are awesome. Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Joel.
Jared, if you can help us start looking for large multi-families through your network, that would be awesome.
So Jared, you're moving to Dallas, right?
Yeah.
Or yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I didn't realize I was on mute, but I'll definitely connect you, Kiko. No worries.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Gotta go big. Gotta go big or go take a nap. Nobody got time for naps.
Boy, come on now. You are the king of naps. What was the king of the 20-minute nap? I don't know how he does it, but like to a T.
Hey, dude, I don't cause any problems and I don't sin when I'm napping. That's not true when I'm always.
True. All right. Well, I guess if anybody has anything, yeah, then just you can drop it in chat or unmute. Okay.
I got something. I have a lead. So I have a borrower. They're a qualified FHA for a max of 747. So any of you guys have any projects in Mililani, Pearl City, anywhere central, I do have a buyer that's looking for at least like a 3-bed, 2-bath. So yeah, just throwing that out there.
747.
Yeah, they qualify for a max of 747. I have them pre-approved for that FHA.
Mililani, so Central Mililani, Pearl City area.
Yeah, they
What-
work in town. They live in Mililani right now. They looked at a few properties in Eva Beach, but they got priced out.
Or
So yeah, so they're out there.
747, that's kind of, yeah, that's nowadays it's hard, right? But
Yeah, but I told them, I reach out to our investment community, see if they have any projects around their price line, and just kind of throw it out there, trying to help them get a house.
nice. Okay, right on. Thanks, Javon. Well, what about Wahiwa? No.
Can always ask. I didn't ask them about Wahiwa. But yeah, if there's something on Wahiwa, I could definitely bring it up to them to see if they're interested.
Okay.
Hey, Javon, is Kalihi too far out of the question?
I could ask him about Kalihi as well, because it's like 4 siblings and 2 of them work in town. So I mean, that could be an option.
Okay.
Nice. Thanks, Javon. Going the extra mile for clients too. That's always great.
That's pretty cool. Javon, who's your what company are you a loan officer with?
I'm with Hawaii Mortgage Experts. So I work in the office in Eva Beach, but their main office is in Hawaii Kai, and they have another office in Kapolei.
Nice. That's good. So you do residential, not commercial.
I do with Bank of Hawaii. They do have a commercial lending program up to $5 million.
Okay, cool. It's good for everybody to know in case they're looking for a good lender locally.
Yeah, and we get interest rates at wholesale. So we work with about 10 different partners. So yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Perfect.
Right on.
All right, guys. Today, just to kick us off, I wanted to kind of do like a focus group study on something, and if anybody knows how to do a poll on this thing, does anybody know how to do a poll? Otherwise, I'll just kind of get a vote. But what I want to do is share my screen, pull up some numbers and on a deal, and run our loan products side by side and get your guys' opinion on what would you favor, which product would you favor given this deal, because we have an opportunity to bring out another product that's basically 100% financing, but it's not quite 100%, and I'll explain in a little while. So let me just pull this up. Okay, let me know. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so let me just run through this real quick. We basically have 2 products here, right? So this is a deal that we have. We ended up wholesaling this one. Some of you may have seen it before, but I want to use this as an example because it was a real deal, and kind of go through it and get your guys' opinion on which one would you choose, our 90-100 product or our 100% product that we may be rolling out. And our capital partners who kind of are bundling this product for us is they're based out of Dallas actually, and they really want to get into our market, but I told them I'm not sure. We'll see what our friends and colleagues say about it when we run it side by side with one of the products that we have already. So for us, we do 90% of the purchase price, right? This is a fix and flip deal, by the way. 90% of the purchase price, 100% of the renovation budget, right? And if you're an experienced investor, meaning if you have 5 deals under your belt within the last 3 years, then we can pay you up to 20% in advance on your budget, So you're not paid in or paying it in arrears anymore, right? You can pay it in advance. You get paid after closing up to 20% of your renovation budget. And we can also wrap 9 out of the 12 months of worth of interest payments into the loan. Okay, so again, that's for investors who have done roughly 5 deals in the last 3 years. Now, on the other side, we have our new product that we're coming in with, and it's 100% financing on the purchase. Okay, so the full purchase amount will get funded. You don't have to bring 10% down or 15% down or 20. The purchase price will be covered, but not the closing costs, right? So that's something you have to raise. And then the construction is funded in arrears, right? So I wanted to run it side by side, get your guys' opinion on the 2 different products, because the 100%, now let's go through this. The 100% product is it's more expensive. So right here on the points, you can see that, it's going to be roughly 2 to 2.5 points, but to stay conservative, let's put it at 2.5. Whereas our 90-100, we can go down to 7.99% and 2 points. Okay, so that's why this is calculated for the points here. So we have the closing costs, and then we have our renovation budget, right? And I'll get back to this. All these yellows is items I'm going to get back to because they make a difference. Here's our holding time, roughly like 6 months, and we'll get back to that to see what changes. But here's the most, I guess, important part, is how much cash do we or any of our clients have to bring to the table out of pocket or in gap funding. So with the 90-100, you can see that, in this scenario, we would have to raise about 73,000, to which I always round up, right? So if I was doing this deal and got this leverage or this type of loan product, I would bring in maybe 100 grand to cover just in case. Now, if you still have to put 10% down with this, right? So if you compare it to the 100% product, you don't have to put anything down for the purchase. You still have to bring in closing costs, right? So this is points, title, escrow fees, and all of that. Underwriting, processing fees, legal fees, all the costs up front. But here's where it starts to change between the 2 products is we could wrap 9 months, right, into the loan. So really you'd have to just bring in 3 months worth of interest payments. Whereas here, it doesn't wrap. And the price is going to be roughly 11% and 2 to 2.5 points on the 100% product. So it's, even though there might be more funds being given out, it is coming at a higher price, right? And the leverage is split in different areas. That's why when you compare it side by side, we want to find out, is this something that you guys or other investor friends of ours and colleagues would entertain over the products that we do have already, right? So when you start to go down and you look at the construction in arrears, so on our 90-100 program, basically you don't have to bring funds in to start the construction because we pay you 20% after closing, right? If we're able to pay you in advance. Whereas if you're being paid in arrears on the same budget, right? So the holding time and the budget is the same, then you'd have to bring in an extra 50,000, right? So clearly, when you look at these 2 side by side, they're both very strong products because we only have to bring in about 100 grand to do this deal, and versus or 115,000. So either way, it's high leverage, so it makes it a little bit more attractive, but the price is it's more expensive, right? Because here's the interest that we'd be assuming to pay out. So at 7.99% on the 90-100 product, If we take 6 months, you're going to be paying roughly about 25 grand. But that 25 grand is financed through the loan, right? You're still paying for it. You're still paying interest on it, but you're not coming out of pocket for it. Versus 11% with our other product that's not financed through the loan. Okay, so even so my question, I guess, and the reason why I wanted to go back up here is because let's say we zeroed out this line item, right? How does that affect how much cash we have to bring to the table? It should drop, right? So on this side, it doesn't drop very much, right? Because remember, we don't have to bring in funds for the renovation. This side, it does drop quite a bit because we do have to bring in funds for the renovation. Now let's say the holding time takes a lot longer. So let's say our projection is 10 months on both of these. And the gap, when we look at the gap, it doesn't change much for the 90/100 because you remember that 9 out of the 12 months is being wrapped into is being financed. So these boxes here are just to tell us how much money in gap funding do we need to do the entire deal for the life of the project. Okay, so when you compare it to the 100% product, it increases it a little more because you do have to come out of pocket to cover the mortgage every month, right? So my question, I guess, to you guys is like, looking side by side at these two products, like, would you guys pay more for this 100% product, a little more, roughly maybe like 2 to 3% on the interest, which is quite a bit, and maybe a half a point more on the points for the ability to not have to come in with anything down to purchase the property? Okay, so when I look at it side by side, even though you don't have to come with anything down, our 90/10 product actually gets pretty close to not having to bring that much in either, right? So does the 100% product, do you guys feel it warrants the higher price that it's going to be I guess originated at, which is roughly 11% and 2 to 2.5 points, versus the 90/100 loan product that we have for fix and flip that will be roughly anywhere from 8 to 8.5% for experienced investors and 2 points. As you can see, when you compare how much are you actually paying in interest, right? You'll be paying a lot more because you're paying 11% for the 100% product. So let's see. I don't know if we found out how to do the poll, Sheena, but if not, I'd like to get people's opinions in the chat, or feel free to unmute.
Wait, I'm trying to make the poll now, but you didn't tell us what the poll is. So I'm
yeah,
sitting
okay.
here with the poll and I don't know what to send.
Okay. Which loan product would you choose?
Put on the spot. We're dying over here.
Which loan
Okay.
product would you choose, the 90/100 or the 100%? And sorry if I kind of just blazed right through that and went over everyone's head, but if you guys have questions, like, can you please unmute or send it in the chat, because it's not easy to bring a new loan product to market. It takes a lot of effort to understand it, all the nuances of processing the loan and closing it. So before we make any major moves, we want to know if there is even demand for it or not. Okay, so Gene and Sherry had a good question. Does the 5 deals in 3 years apply to the 100% product, I'm guessing? So the answer to that is no, but you have to have done at least 1 deal. The 90/100, it does, to get 90 and 100, you do have to have done 5 deals in the last 3 years. Now, if you don't get it, then it'll go down to like 85 roughly. If you've done like 1 deal and your credit is decent, maybe in the sevens, then then we can get you 85. So even if it was 85 and 100, like let's say it's 85. Oh, well. So this would be 85. So while everyone's kind of thinking about it, hopefully, let me just change this to 85 of the purchase. This will be, so this is going to be 15%. This is going to be 85. So, yeah, it doesn't change that much. And I'm guessing it's because the purchase price is a little lower. It's only 375, right? So even at 85%, when you compare it side by side, it's the amount of gap funds that you'll have to bring is lower. So 799 versus 11%. And let's say this is 8.5. There we go. So the loan payments doesn't change that much because again, it's being wrapped up. Well, let's say yeah, so it's actually not much more different. But anyways, this is something that we're deciding on whether or not to bring to market to an offer to our colleagues and clients. So any feedback would be great when you compare it side by side. Okay, so it's 100% on the purchase price we can offer. It is going to be more expensive, roughly around 11%, 2 to 2.5 points. But you still have to pay in arrears, and you'll have to pay you'll have to have the funds to pay the monthly mortgage. It won't be wrapped into the loan. Okay, let me stop. Actually, I'll keep this up for now, but does anybody have any suggestions? And if not, I'm going to start calling on people.
Yeah, actually, hey, Corey, this is Joel. I mean, I'm looking at it. I mean, my pocket brain wants A just because of, lower interest rate. However, I'm just trying to figure out, maybe we need both. I mean, for us, I mean, we got a bunch of different projects going on right now. So we have a lot of money out. And then, we still have some reserves, but there's probably going to be points in time where we would need to do B at a higher rate. But, I would tend to lean on option A just because, lower interest rate. And I'm trying to do some mental math. Is it, I mean, based on what you have here, part of me thinks it's a little bit of a wash, or maybe a little bit more of an advantage on the A. So just kind of noodling things around. That's kind of my thought. What was maybe a question back to you is how did you guys come up with B? Was there kind of an outcry of people like, hey, we're kind of low on cash and we want to have another option?
Well,
how did B come about?
That's a good question. So no, there wasn't any. Well, I mean, everybody's saying that they want 100% financing, and so when we've been building this relationship with this capital partner who's based out of Dallas, and when we were in Dallas, we sat down. Alex and I sat down with their, the CEOs and the partners, and they really want to come into Hawaii, and do loans, and. But we were excited because we're like, wow, that's aggressive, 100%. And, but when we actually compare it side by side, we have to go back to them and say, hey, you know what? Like we're kind of offering something very similar and it's coming out like almost the same. I don't know if the price is gonna warrant the extra points you pay is gonna warrant the difference in leverage, you know? And so that's what we're trying to work out. And so they may be flying down here to sit down with us, and maybe some of our clients who are repeat borrowers, and you know, we'll bring some of them in to get their opinions and kind of take a hard look at it. Because the good thing is they're very motivated to work with us, but they're also in control of their own balance sheet. So they don't really sell their notes. They hold on to all of it. And for them to make a move to Hawaii, they're putting a lot of trust in us, because they're kind of, it's their money, you know, it's not institutional capital. So, but nobody reached out to us from the borrower side asking for it. Yeah, that was a good question.
Okay. Yeah. No. I mean, in terms of our business, I definitely, you know, kind of see pluses and minuses for both. I mean, I'd love to have both our arrows in our quiver, you know, as we continue to, you know, acquire property. Okay,
that's a good point. Like maybe it doesn't have to be like, it may not be a yes or no. We may come out like it's slow drip, this new loan product out there, and just test the market and give people options to see what they want to do. So, okay.
And then the other question, that percentage, is that kind of, is that best and final, or is there some wiggle room to negotiate that a little south?
For the price?
For the percentage.
The interest.
Yeah, it's like you said 12%, right, for B?
11 and 2 to 2.5 points.
Oh, okay.
So, but then that is a question, because if we feel like, you know, it's a little expensive, then I don't know how much flexibility our guys have. But it's, you know, if it's priced too high, or and people, there's no demand for it, then they'll have to, you know, make some moves, or maybe Hawaii is just not a market, or maybe, you know, Washington State's not a market that they can compete at with this product. But that's why we kind of wanted to do like a little focus group study, but I have no idea how to work this Zoom. So
looking at them side by side, maybe I'm missing something, but I don't see it seems like A is like a clear winner, as far as like you're bringing less to the table, right? And you make more profit in the end. I mean, even though it's 100%, it's kind of deceiving because they don't wrap the interest and etc. like the pre-draws. So like, I mean, just at a glance, I like, the only reason why I say like maybe B is it like a higher LTV, or is it like less stringent on like can they close faster, or is there anything else like as far as like the requirements that would make it more attractive than I mean, maybe I'm missing something, but it seems like just from a numbers standpoint, it seems like A is like a no-brainer. But like, you know what I mean, just like different loan, maybe there's different kind of loan like process or whatever that make it more attractive. Maybe they're more flexible as far as like, can they offer on like a Airbnb or whatever, something like something more tricky, you know, or something. So
right,
because they control it. So
yeah, because it's not just that, right? Like how's the fund control process, right? That's important too, right? Do they require appraisals? So the answers to that is yes, they do require appraisals. The one thing about the 100% product is that all the everything's done kind of in-house. So it's true kind of money in the bank. That's why they're very protective over it. But so there might be a little bit more flexibility, it might be a quicker product to execute on. Oh, Leila, it's okay, Leila. I think we got like some good feedback already. And thank you, Joel. Thanks, Daniel. And if
I would
Yeah.
say the same thing as what Daniel was saying. I think, Corey, this is Monica. For me, I guess like being new to flipping, I think that's the hardest part for me, was to get that gap funding.
right.
So I would be interested for the 100%, but I do think that, of course, the 11% is quite high. But if I compare that to the process of a regular bank, it would take way longer. So do I want the time, or do I want want to pay later on down the line. So, I mean, I would be interested, but those fine lines that Daniel said, I would definitely look down into those things.
Right. Thank you, Monica. Yeah, that's great. Thanks for your feedback on that. Because yeah, if for the 100% product, you don't have to have done as many deals, but you do have to have done one. But I think with balancing the two, there may be a place for one over the other in certain circumstances. Basically, it's like if you rather not pay a lump sum upfront for your down payment and close, with the 100% financing, just come in with closing costs and then keep the rest on the side to pay monthly, then you're basically shifting when you're going to have to put the money in more towards the back end instead of the front, right? Whereas the 90/100 product, you have to put 10% down, and then but you don't have to come out of pocket for the mortgage payments, right? But if you do wrap the interest payments into the loan, now you're paying interest upon interest now, right? But most of us who stack capital, like hard money and maybe private money behind it, you're already paying interest upon interest, right? But you're probably paying even higher interest upon interest, roughly about 10 to 12% instead of 7.99, right? If you can qualify for the 7.99. So there is a little difference in the two products, but when you break it down, like to me, I can kind of see Daniel's point too, right? You get higher, you get more, you don't have to come out of pocket as much and it's cheaper. But I think there are certain circumstances where the 100% may work. So I just wanted to gauge the room. And it sounds like, your guys' points are kind of leaning more towards the 90/100, but maybe there's opportunity with bringing the 100%.
Yeah, I see the same way as Daniel. I was looking at it. It's just a pure numbers standpoint. Both you're going to have to manage some sort of draw process, whether you're paying for it on the front end or not. And you're limiting the interest on the higher percent. Whatever that number nets out as, I'm going to keep that lower. That's where my decision making is going to go
right
every time. So.
And that's why we have to kind of stop and go back to the table and kind of put them side by side, and look at it. But when you look at how much, let me just share one more time, and then we can move on. When you look at how much hard money is, or the 100% is actually bringing in, this is 100% of the purchase, 100% of the renovation budget versus how much, you'll get using with 85 and 100. You actually get more capital from the 100%, slightly more.
I think you're gonna make one more line, Corey. There's like private money needed, and then there's private money to the closing table. So like,
oh, that's right, because you have to add that.
You should have like another line so you can see, because that's the one time where the 100% is better, is because in the left side you have to bring all of that to the closing table, right? But then on the right side, you don't have to bring that whole chunk to the closing table.
Yeah.
So like another line just to see like the slight difference in otherwise, like it doesn't make sense at all, right? So
yeah, but I like only looking at how much I'm going to bring for the life of the project.
So show two numbers. So like make another line like right below like that, the private money needed. So then there's how much you bring to the closing table, because that's the one advantage that the 100% has, right? Like let's say I can't raise all the money is tied up or whatever, but I can raise like 50 grand today, and then I got to bring the rest over the life of the loan and the mortgage interest payments.
Right. Yeah. So at the closing table would be these two line items here, right? So there's that. And yeah, that's a good point, because sometimes it matters the timing of when the funds come in.
You're eventually gonna have to raise the whole amount, but it just I need it in 2 weeks or whatever, right? Like, okay, like
so when you put it that way, then it's clear, it's clear that the 100% side is, you just have to bring closing costs to the table, basically.
Yeah, but you're eventually gonna have to raise the rest later over time, but it's just
that's
the one advantage that the 100% has over like that.
I was gonna say, you probably have to have it in an account to get the loan anyways, right?
Yes and no. I mean, like as long the main thing is that we look at the deal, and we sometimes we will have to ask for bank statements but that's just to verify that you're not going to be living on the streets, after we originate the loan. So it's nothing that will really kill the deal unless you're showing like zero.
So I mean that's another one too. I mean, like how much do you have to show in the bank, right? So I mean, and that's just another. Basically, how much do you have to have cash? Do you have to have on you or access to at the time of the closing? So if it's not just a closing, it's not just something you have to bring. Then I need 6 months reserves or whatever it is. That's actually I actually have to just bring it to the table, so it makes no difference, right? So
Yeah. Thanks for suggesting that, because when you look at it this way too, then it gives you a different angle to look at these two loan products, right? So, okay. Well, thank you guys for the feedback. I was hoping we could get a poll so people who are a little too shy to speak up and make their piece, like we could get their opinion on it. But all right, let's go. Thank you guys for your help. Okay, cool.
Corey, I got a couple.
Oh, what's up, Will?
What's up, Corey? How you doing?
Good, man. Good.
Been meaning to reach out to you guys. My first coffee talk. So far, so good,
Awesome.
man. I love what you guys are doing. But yeah, about that last piece, maybe a couple of additional comments. You touched on it a little bit with closing costs, but I think it's it might be helpful to understand, the confidence of putting offers in with both scenarios, especially in a competitive market like Hawaii. Is something that the mainland lending community, you should educate them on about. And that's first, and then second, what are they comfortable with? Because there's some properties, not every property is flying off the shelf, right? So what price ranges are they comfortable with per loan? Because that could help define a strategy that's a little bit more targeted versus like blanket.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Want to throw that into the mix.
Yeah, thanks, Will. And Will's in. Are you still in commercial real estate?
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. Okay. Well, yeah. Thanks for bringing that up.
Just
That does
retail,
matter.
multifamily, all kinds.
Where are you at, Will? What market?
I'm actually in Hunt, born and raised here.
Nice.
And messing up. So let me
Yeah, I think you're cutting out, Will, unless that's on my side. But that was a great point though. I understand what you're saying.
So-
Like if you're offered, if you can come in stronger with the 100% product, then perhaps like that would give you an edge especially in this market, right? So if you know that you're not going to have to come with funds down, as long as the deal still works at the offer you're offering, and you don't have to come with the higher you go, the more you're going to have to put down at closing, then maybe you can be a little bit more aggressive on the front end and maybe get an edge on winning some deals over. I get that point. There could be something there. Thanks, Will. It's good to hear from you, man.
Just to let you know, the poll's activated. I know some people have already answered, so
Oh, how do you get there?
no clue.
Where is this
All I
thing?
know is it's activated.
We're so fancy, we have no idea what we're doing.
Look at these noobs. We've only been doing this for a year every week. We have no idea. All right.
And we just need a millennial. Let me get my 13-year-old in here. He'll talk.
No, seriously.
Justin says that he's seeing the replies. So I think he has the power. He is the master of the meeting. So
Just.
he's gonna pull the results of the poll when this meeting is over.
Okay. But is everybody else seeing the poll? I didn't see any poll.
I don't see it either.
I think you go down to polling in the bottom of your thing,
You see that? I don't see that.
but it's an untitled poll, bottom of your black navigation, next to chat and share screen.
I don't have that.
Yeah, me either.
It might make a difference if you actually have Zoom, perhaps, like you're logged in.
Oh, right.
with your
Okay.
Zoom account kind of thing.
Try push that button, see what happens. Okay, cool. Try push the button. Do you see it?
I voted. I voted for 100%.
Oh, oh,
I
you
like
gotta be like logged in then.
I like when
Okay.
1000% one. You get one where we get like 900% back.
Well, hopefully the people who are logged in, they can vote or poll. Shucks, I didn't know that. Okay. Well, thank you guys for listening, and that helps us, to get feedback. We're constantly going back and forth with our capital partners to try to get the best like products that we can for all of us on the call. One, it helps us be more competitive. Like we want to be able to offer what the market demands, right? And so it was because of you guys, and actually even Richie who comes on our calls, like because of him that we got to get a little bit more aggressive with our rates and stuff. So it's good to hear feedback from everybody. It helps us a lot. All righty. Okay, cool. You want to move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Corey,
no,
I just have a quick question. Can I have a quick question?
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The deals that you guys talking about, does it have to be flip deals, or like, hey, I have 2 rentals already in place, or do I have to show you I have done a deal, like a flip?
That's a good question. So for the 100%, it's just for fix and flip. Yep.
Got it.
But if you're like maybe doing a burr, right? Perhaps it could help take down the property and just cover closing costs. And then you'll get funded in arrears. And when you're ready for a takeout loan for a 30-year to refinance, then you can refi out on that too. So there still could be a place for that, just not as the long term, more on the front end for the short term.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. All right.
I was just going to say, we're doing a great job brainstorming today. And since we don't have a guest in particular, it's a nice opportunity for us to just see if anybody's got any challenges with where you're at or what you're thinking or doing, and we can brainstorm. I just came off a week-long mastermind on Maui, and it was just so good to have like-minded people just share vulnerably, be like, hey, I got this, I got that. So we could definitely do that.
Well, okay, cool. Actually, I'd love to ask you like how that went, because that's interesting. I mean, it wasn't cheap, right? So like maybe you could fill us in and bring us on the inside a little bit. Like who was there?
Well,
what
Corey
happened?
was there because Corey didn't get invited. So just kidding. Yeah, it was about $20,000 in total to be there for the week. So it was pretty expensive, but it was solid. We had some really good people from around the country, 30 people. And it wasn't relaxing. It was definitely getting in a classroom and just masterminding and talking through strategies and vision and core values, and then kind of vulnerably opening up all of our businesses. And then just various folks were able to speak into it. Like I thought, like we do a lot of cool stuff. And I think we talk big numbers. And then Brandon Turner then shares what he does. And, he looks at what we do and they're like, oh, that's cute. And so it kind of puts everything into perspective that our biggest challenge today is not necessarily as big as we think it is. It's as much as our mindset focuses on how big it is. But really, when we take a step back, we realize other people have, gone there, done it, or thinking bigger. And there's resources out there that help us to scale. And so it's always so good to dream big and to work hard, but then also think smart and find good people around you. That's what I love about this coffee talk each week is, we got 30 to 50 people that show up with some of the greatest skill sets and networks and experiences. And I just love it. But I think it's cool too that we leverage each other's experiences because there's people that are doing some really cool stuff. For example, one person direct messaged me and said that they're a little intimidated going into a new market and trying to get to know the market, especially when the real estate market is as on fire as it is. And so they're just wondering if there's any tips kind of for going into a brand new market and knowing how to analyze the market and feel comfortable about it. I'm going to call on Daniel because Daniel's kind of gone into new markets and has kind of set up some great systems and strategies. So So Daniel, then just rephrasing it is like, if someone's evaluating a new market, either at a distance or moving there, what would you say is maybe the top 3 things that, based on your experience, I mean, you've been wildly successful investing at a distance, mildly successful. I'd say you're wildly successful.
Mildly for sure. I think like
Yeah.
the biggest things, I mean, is just like just immersing yourself in the market. Like the more that you like kind of immerse yourself and like focus on the market, the more you kind of like to learn more about it. I mean, there's just so much to learn about it, right? Like the neighborhoods, the people, like what the economy of that stuff is. And so like just I mean talking to as many people in like whether it's local realtors or joining like an out-of-state Facebook group for that market, etc. Just Googling things and looking at the business journals for whatever. I think just like immersing yourself on that market, it's a huge like benefit. And it's like if you're doing like multiple markets, it can kind of be like you don't have enough focus to kind of like focus on that market, but just spend like a good week, 2 weeks, even a month, just like trying to network as much as you can with as many people in that market to kind of get you a feel for like what's going on. And so like if I was gonna move to Hawaii, I'd be like, let me talk to Ashley, let me talk to Corey, let me talk to all the people who are like kind of like moving and shaking things here, and just reading up as much about it in like the news. Let's like join like the Honolulu Star Bulletin or Biz Journals or something, and trying to get a feel for the things and just like study the MLS in that market or the Zillow in the area and just like immerse yourself. Join whatever like the Hawaii investing Facebook groups or whatever, and just I think just immersing yourself in the market is probably like one of the biggest things as far as just trying to get a feel for what works and what doesn't. So
when it comes to like networking in a market, how would you go about finding which networks are legit and which ones are kind of like, people just hanging out?
I think like bigger pockets is always like a great way to kind of start. Like just like go to the forums to like, and then you can kind of see like in like these forums where like there's certain guys in certain markets are like they've got 100 posts. One guy has like 2 posts. One guy has like 1,000 posts. And then like when you like kind of like type your questions in these forums, people are so helpful. And so like trying like connect with people who are actually like active and like alive in that inside the forums. Another one is just realtors in general. And so some of like the bigger realtors, they might not have as much time for you because they're so busy. But then maybe like the mid realtors or like just to reach out to a bunch of them and see which one sticks as far as just trying to get on the phone and just get like a quick conversation and saying, hey, like I'm trying to break this market, et cetera, et cetera. And then do you have like someone you would point me to? Maybe they're too busy, but then they've got like a team that could like handhold you or whatever, as far as like kind of walking you through like that area. And then Facebook groups are awesome. I think like if you in Indianapolis, there's a couple of like really active out-of-state investor Facebook groups, and you just read the whole threads. There's like contractors list. There's like property managers they like and don't like. There's horror stories. There's like wholesalers people like and don't like. It's just you can just read through all the comments and can see like the back and forth and see who's actually like doing deals or who's active. It'll give you a good like kind of input to who you want to connect with, who like you might want to stay away with from, or etc. So
that's awesome.
Those are great points.
Yeah, he's solid. Anybody else kind of done a new market and you've got some strategies that has worked for you?
Yeah, we put in, we worked really hard to put in a process to open new markets, knowing that we were scaling to new markets kind of constantly. Indianapolis is a new one for us. So actually Fort Wayne, and then we'll kind of bleed to Indianapolis here soon, Daniel. But I think it's just strategic on relationship. Everything in my world is a relationship business. So we get very strategic on who with our vision, who we need to know, and then I get serious about knowing them. For me, I usually start with a title rep. I thought about like where where a source of my wisdom came from, a huge source of it, and it came from Don Graham, my local title rep, who's been in the business 35 years and and knows every which way things can move and knows every person in the market, and he's literally paid to know people in the market, right? So I start with title reps and then kind of work my way to who I need to know, contractors and everybody. But many of the same things Daniel's talking about: immerse yourself in the market and just know people. I think that a warm introduction, like we were talking about in Dallas, we'll introduce each other to people we actually know who are doing business. That's always what I'm after first. So if I need to know somebody in a certain market, I'll speak up on here. I text Tarl. He literally is like his job within my business is to connect me with people and help me with these systems to go to new markets, things like that. So we get strategic on relationship. That's the biggest portion of it that I see, is know and trust the people that you're doing business with, and that they can actually help you do what you're looking to do.
I see you posting on the indie Facebook groups too, Jared. So
We everywhere. Right on, Jared. That's great insight.
Hey, Jared, do you have any recommendations for like title companies in the Dallas area that could maybe reach out to and start networking?
Yeah, man, I got a couple of contacts. Why don't you, I'll drop my email in the chat. Shoot me an email. I'll send you some contacts.
Right, awesome, thanks.
Yep.
Jared's like the ultimate connector, man.
I know, Jared, that the title company stuff, that's pretty genius. Like, I haven't personally thought of that for the markets that we've been going into. And that's actually a really good idea.
You know, one thing is for like, I know for Kiko and I, like, we like to take a top-down approach with going into a new market. And we've mentioned this over the calls, but like just taking a hard look at the fundamentals of that market, right? And because like if and when like the market turns, the housing market turns, and let's say we're in a recession or something, like not every market's going to be going down. You know, some markets may hold steady and some may be appreciating. So it just matters the market. So what's funny is like, you gotta, I feel one of the most important things when going into a new market, you want to ask the right questions to the right people, you know, and like diversify that too, because like every time when we're traveling or in a new market and I'm in my Uber or something, I ask my Uber driver like questions, you know, like who's the number one employer here? Like, what is this city known for? Like, what's the number one economic driver in this area? Like, Hawaii is tourism. That's the number one economic driver. Who's the number one employer, or who's like the top three, you know, like Hawaiian Airlines? Is it one of the hotel chains? Like, you want to understand the market, like what is driving the market, and are people moving in or are they moving out? Right. And are they investing in infrastructure? You know, what's the path of progress? You can go down to the planning departments and hopefully get to talk to somebody and ask them like, where's the path of progress in the city? Or the best way too is to find out, like, follow the big box stores, you know, because like Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, those guys have their own separate divisions, and they spend millions of dollars on market analysis before they put a Home Depot somewhere. They're not going to just throw a Home Depot somewhere where people aren't going to be building houses. You know what I'm saying? So you can ride the tailwinds of these guys and their millions of dollars worth of market research and analysis. And you know, like, where's the next Home Depot going in, you know, because like those guys know it. They already talked to the planning departments, probably. They already know where the path of progress is going to be, right? So you can get pretty far in identifying emerging markets by just asking the right questions to the right people. That would be my tip.
That's awesome. Sweet. Anybody else got anything you're going through that you want to process or have us help give you some thoughts about?
I got one that we're this has been on our plate forever and I just can't figure it out. So it's a 4-bedroom, 4-bath in Enchanted Lakes. It's on a 9,000 square foot lot. And our issue is it's got a super dirty title. Started with the owner tried to do foreclosure defense, a quick claim deeded it to the attorney went bankrupt. Then it went from the attorney to this mother-daughter team who basically took out a loan with Kauai Credit Union. And then the owner got it back. However, it's just absolutely cloudy. So the only thing I can think of is a quiet title. Has anybody had any experience here locally with a quiet title?
Ashley, have you got anything like that?
Quiet title.
No, I haven't dealt with a quiet title.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe a little
Hey,
complicated.
I have a question. Was that Joel? Was that you asking that question?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, Greg.
Hey, Joel.
What's up?
Hey. What is is it a wild deed by any chance?
Is it a wild deed?
Yeah.
No.
Is that the problem?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if this is valuable at all, but I had an issue. Actually, it was a Pearl City. It was an Oahu house that I had under contract, and the seller had a wild deed, and she thought she had it cleared up, but in reality, she had hired an eviction attorney who had evicted the wild deed recorders, who were also squatters. And so when we went into escrow said, nope, sorry, that's, evicting them doesn't clear the title, that because they recorded, a transfer at the bureau. And so I called around, like I tried all the escrow companies, and finally I found an escrow company that said, we'll record the sale and ensure the title, ensure title. If she signs an affidavit saying that she does not know the parties that recorded the wild deed. So it sounds like that's probably not going to be really helpful in this situation.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some way.
This homeowner wasn't so smart, and basically he knew about the foreclosure defense attorney, and he knew about the gal. So yeah.
Greg, why don't you explain what a wild deed is?
Oh boy, okay. Hopefully I don't butcher it. But well, I'll tell you a little bit in this particular scenario what it was. This was, like, my understanding, this is all hearsay, but was a Hawaiian sovereignty group in Oahu that basically, like, just goes and finds houses and goes to the Bureau of Conveyances and submits a deed to be recorded as if they bought the house. And, like, the seller doesn't even know this person. The seller has no idea this is going on, because anybody can record a document at the bureau, right? Like, they don't check what's that saying? They don't check it, they just record it.
Yeah.
So yeah, in this case, this Hawaiian sovereignty group was like supposedly is like a way of, like, taking back the land that was taken from them, sort of thing. But kind of the catchy, weird part about this particular situation was the lady that they recorded the wild deed on was a local family that they had owned this house since it was built in 1950. Like, it wasn't the white man, like, they weren't taking back the land, they were just hurting other local people, sort of thing. But anyways, yeah, that's kind of the wild deed. My understanding is just somebody recording a transfer of title or anything on title, I guess, that is not legitimate.
Yeah. And that's the scary thing, is you're right. Like, anyone can go and record something, like, and someone can just go record a lien against your property. And now if they do that unwarranted, there's repercussions to that, but it's still a big headache. And a lot of times for us, we lose money every day that we can't, exit some of these deals. So it can be a big problem. I can see, but
yeah, I think in her
that's a
case,
pretty-
that seller said that she spent, I believe, around $10,000 in attorney fees to clear her title. But now looking back on it, when she was telling me that, she must have been referring to the eviction. So it was probably more than that total, if you consider that they also moved into the property and were squatters.
Right. Did you end up buying that one?
Yeah.
Greg?
Man, that is such a frustrating story. We were like 5 days from closing, and I spent like we had like a 30-day escrow, and I had the buyer, a van, it was assigned to van already. And like, so I had been working on trying to find a way to ensure the title, because they kept telling her she had to expunge the wild deed in order for them to insure it. And then when I finally found, like, maybe 2 weeks, I'd say, before closing, I found a title company that would insure it. All she had to do was sign an affidavit saying she didn't have a pre-existing relationship with the parties before they, did this. And she was like, she made up some excuse, said, I'm not comfortable with that. Like, my attorney says that everything should be fine because he got the writ of ejectment. And we were trying to explain to her, a writ of ejectment has nothing to do with the wild deed. That's an eviction. You know, that's removing them from the property. It's not clearing the title. And anyway, she just kind of, she was either playing dumb or she just was, you know, kind of thought she knew too much for her own good sort of thing. But it worked out for her, I think, because basically we got up to the closing date and we were like, we're ready to close. All you have to do is sign your documents. And she refused. And, you know, we told her we want to close, but, you know, of course, like the contract states, we need clear and insurable title. And it also states that you will perform any reasonable action to clear title. And she breached contract. They ended up canceling after the closing date. And our contract price was $615 or something like that. I think we were assigning it for $630. And it just hit MLS now, like this is 3 months later, but it just hit MLS for $875.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah. So I think we figured out what was going on there.
yeah. Wow.
It's way overpriced because, you know, it's a 1,200 square foot house in Pearl City that's all original, and it has tenants, new tenants now that are not paying rent. So that's another issue to deal with. So
Yeah.
It's been on for a couple of weeks, I think 2 weeks or so. I don't think they'll get 875, but kind of shows where her head was at.
Yeah.
That was a frustrating one.
Wow.
Going back to your situation real quick, is that previous owner, or now I guess he is the owner again, is he open to selling, or are you trying to bypass him? Is he involved at all in this? You're muted.
Was that a question?
Joel, you're muted.
Sorry. Yeah. Yes. We're actually working directly with the homeowner. He wants to sell it. And he's in default. We want to buy it. However, it's got this clouded title. And then I think, so a couple of things that we did was we talked to a couple of local attorneys. One of them, he wanted like, hey, when all is said and done, I want 40% of the proceeds. I did some research on quiet title. It's fairly expensive. It's 25 to, I don't know, I think 50K potentially to do a quiet title.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm like, holy smokes. And the challenge too is, you know, we're gonna have to work with, we could potentially clean it up, but you know, we got to make sure that we're in communication with the lender. But yeah, it's pretty close to, it's the houses in the back of Walmart, not Walmart, Target, kind of in that area.
Oh, the condos?
No, it's not condo, it's a house.
Oh.
4-bedroom,
Okay.
4-bath, nice flat 9,000 square foot lot. It's in a cul-de-sac.
Oh, I think it's on the other side of us.
I think it's right by our house.
Yeah, it's over there. We've had this, we've been struggling with this for a while, so we gotta figure it out.
I know that the little I do know about the quiet deed is that they just have to participate and be served, and you know, I didn't know if you're trying to bypass him.
No, I'm trying to, I think you have to, I guess go through court, and then you gotta, advertise it, and they gotta come and they can protest or whatever. But yeah, kind of go through that process. So yeah, we've got, part of our business, we do kind of these really complicated stuff. Just recently, we accomplished this really long, it was a house that's being squatted in Waipahu. So we successfully got it through probate. So now our homeowner our new homeowner, who's one of the heirs, we're basically gonna purchase the property and then probably fix and flip it. So that was one hairy project that we got over. This is by far the hairiest one. Just trying to figure this one out. We've had this for a while.
You'll have to do a follow-up coffee talk on it, because
yeah,
please.
Yeah, I'll do the probate one. That's a great story because it was in the news, and I'll get the news back. And yeah, it was in the news. KHON TV. It was about a squatter home was overrun by squatters. It was a drug house. So we're in the process of acquiring that, and then we'll bring the news back, and then we'll get some fanfare on that one.
Nice. Yeah, those crazy deals have the most meat on the bone if you can figure them out.
Yeah. We had to go through a lot of ups and downs on that one, but we finally got that one over the finish line. If I can get this one over, this is another one. I do want to go through a quiet title and see what that looks like, and then see what we come out in the end. But
Wow.
yeah, I'll definitely report if we get somewhere.
Thanks for sharing.
On Coffee Talk.
Yeah,
no
because
worries.
Joel, and like one thing, like man, I hope we can have the event like at full capacity, because like I love listening. I to this day, like I learned something, listening to you and Oscar and Melina especially, because like you guys are, in my opinion, you guys have a great there's a lot to learn for deal structuring. When I first started out, I know for a fact I probably missed out on like 5 great deals just because I didn't know how to structure them, when I first started.
Right.
And I just looked at like, is this like 70%, 65% of the ARV, like for someone to flip, and like if somebody had a mortgage and they're low on equity, like I was like, okay, I can't, push that aside. But the more strategies you learn to be able to structure a deal, to take it down and make it profitable, like the better you'll be, right? Then you can look at every single deal from all angles. Okay, maybe I can do this, maybe we can do that. And in the best interest of the homeowner, right?
Yeah,
if you're just,
of course,
if you just have one strategy, like I need to buy it this low, and if there's no equity, I can't do the deal. It's not a deal. Yeah. It's just, that's one less person that you might have been able to help out of a bad situation, right. So the more knowledge and tools that we have, under us to be able to solve problems and help homeowners, the more profitable we'll be, and the more people we can help, right? So like there's a lot to learn from Joel and New Wealth Advisors Club, like what they're teaching. I hope we can have that event. So keep us updated.
Absolutely. Joel. And then maybe Justin, since you're online, if you could just post a flyer, that would be great. And then I do have an Eventbrite site to register. And then if we end up having to cancel it, I'll definitely invoke the refund. But definitely excited to have that. And we're always looking for those mad science kind of problems and try to solve and conquer them. And I guess that's just the techie in me, always going after those things that are just not, I mean, at first blush, just not doable. Yeah. So I love those.
Love it. Thanks, Joel.
Okay, well,
awesome.
All right, guys.
Well, it's already 20 after the hour. We've gone a long time for just a casual conversation today. Awesome.
Well,
is anybody in Seattle area going to Fixated? I don't know if anybody is flew in for that.
Is Taro having that?
Yeah, it starts tomorrow.
Oh.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Is it in person?
Yeah. It's in person. Washington still is allowing in person. Hawaii is not. But everything's changing.
Are you going to be going to that, or?
I'll try to stop in. It's literally just not too far from the house, so I'm a little networked out, to be honest. But it's all good.
You?
Yeah, I'm tired. But hey, Sunday, September 19th, if anybody's around, I think Alex and I are trying to find something. Corey's still, we're trying to figure out something where we can just all get together and mastermind a little bit. So if anybody's around island at that time on Oahu, then we'll meet up.
All right. Well, thank you guys again for jumping on for another Friday. We hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys next week. Aloha, everybody.
Happy Friday. Aloha Friday.
Thank you guys for your input. Thanks, Daniel, Brandon, Joel.
Welcome.
You guys are awesome. Hopefully we can see this poll that apparently happened. I don't know.